and Allegheny counties. It is not clear when the power will be restored to all customers. In a news release by Duquesne Light Monday night, they are working to assess the damage and establish an estimated time of restoration for all customers. It said crews are focused on critical and emergent needs first. Several roadways remain closed in New Brighton as the public works crews wait on Duquesne Light and other utility providers to remove energized utility wires from the fallen trees. Currently, the following roads are still fully closed to vehicular traffic: 3rd Avenue from 13th Street to 16th Street, Penn Avenue from 13th Street to 14th Street, Penn Avenue from 16th Street to Pittsfield Alley, 4th Avenue from 17th Street to the Holy Family Church, the 300 block of 10th Avenue, the 1400 block of 4th Street, the 15th Street from 4th Avenue to 5th Avenue, and 2nd Avenue from 5th to 6th Street. Once safe to do so, teams will begin to systematically remove trees and reopen roads. Duquesne Light is reporting that 25,837 customers will remain without power in the Duquesne Light service area, with only 30 customers in New Brighton without power. The Cornerstone of Beaver County, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preventing and ending homelessness in Beaver County, will once again serve as a cooling center throughout the summer for those experiencing homelessness or housing-related crisis. Extreme heat can be dangerous, especially for those experiencing homelessness, utility shutoffs or malfunctions, or other housing crises. These situations could put people and families at risk for illnesses related to heat exposure, such as heat exhaustion and heat stroke, and can exacerbate pre-existing conditions like lung and heart disease and mental illness. TCBC's Cooling Center services at its Beaver Falls office provide relief from heat with water, basic needs, housing assistance, and additional resources. The TCBC's cooling centers are at the following locations: the Cornerstone of Beaver County on 6th Street in Beaver Falls, the New Brighton Municipal Building on 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, and the Uncommon Grounds on Franklin Avenue in Aliquippa. The Aliquippa police were called around 3 a.m. last Friday about a burglary at a food mart on Sheffield Road. It's reported that 2 white males were seen on camera wearing ski masks casing the business. They eventually broke into the building by throwing objects at the glass door and breaking it. The men then left with stolen merchandise only to return to the store wearing different clothing. They prowled the building again before walking off. All of their actions were caught on surveillance cameras. Anybody with information can call the Aliquippa Police at 724-775-0880. Credits the story to Beaver County Radio correspondent Sandy Giordano. The national average for gasoline has remained steady over the past week at $3.44. Lackluster gasoline demand, increasing supply, and stable oil costs are contributing to the stationary pump prices. Today's national average is 15 cents lower than it was a month ago and 13 cents lower than it was a year ago.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM. Along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We're looking at scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day, mainly after 3 p.m. It's going to be partly sunny and hot with a high of 96 degrees and a heat advisory until 4 o'clock p.m. We're looking at isolated showers and thunderstorms and a lot of wind before 9 o'clock this evening with a low of 73 degrees. That's a look at weather. I'm Ryan Garazunas for 99.3 FM, 1230 AM, WBVP, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum. What? That's always a good sign when before the interview even starts, your guests are openly mocking and laughing at you. How you guys doing?
Good, Eddie. How you doing?
Tony and Rich are here. Please introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'm Tony Pavlonis.
Yeah.
And I'm Rich Soltez.
And I'm giddy because, Tony, you and I started a conversation 2 years ago.
Yeah,
We're
that's
going to
right.
finish that conversation today. It's got nothing to do with this, but, well, a little bit to do with this. I want to talk about ham radio. You guys do this. It's called Field Day. It happens once a year.
Yes,
That's
Right?
correct.
right.
All right, first things first. Why is it called ham radio?
That's a very good question because I think way back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when commercial telegraph operators were sending messages back and forth
Do
over
people
wire.
know that it was happening that long ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember personally,
Yeah,
Okay.
but they kind of mocked hams and decided that they were hamming it up.
Well, wait.
and
There's one
also
interpretation of it.
ham-fisted. They thought that the hams were ham-fisted in their skill compared to the professional radio telegraph operators of the time.
Well, what was the professional level of technology and expertise at the time that they could be laughing at anybody? Seriously.
That's a very good question because all they really had at that time was the newspapers for communications and telegraph communications.
Morse code getting sent
Yes.
out to Cleveland Little out
That's
west,
right.
and that was it.
Yeah.
That's it. They were sending, making their message known by perforating tape. Paper tape was moving through, it was perforating the tape. And every time it would do that, it would make a clicking sound. And after a short while, the operators didn't need to look at the tape anymore. They could tell by the sound of the clicks.
They
the
translated
message.
it.
Yeah, they were able to translate the messages.
But it sounds like, now, what was Ham doing at that same time? Because that sounds like old ticker tape stuff. That sounds very labor and training intensive to communicate.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I think after a period of time, inventors came up with the ability to transmit information over the radio waves. And their first transmissions relied on sending series of short bursts followed by long bursts. For example, the letter A in Morse code, Morse invented this alphabet that they're using now. A was a short followed by a long burst. And SOS is 3 short,
Three
long.
long, 3 short.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know you knew Morse code.
Are you a ham too, Eddie? I mean, gee, I didn't know this.
Gilligan's Island fan from way back. that coconut radio. All right, let me ask you this. How feasible is it to make a radio out of a dang coconut? Because I saw it every week. Can't be done, can it?
Probably not.
It'd be difficult.
What is different about ham radio than what most people think about radio? I'm talking about to you, not the technology. We'll get into that, but why do you enjoy ham radio specifically? Because most people, radio's radio, you turn a knob, you hear it. That's not really the same thing at all.
No, it's not. Ham radio is a hobby. Hobbies are meant for people to have fun. People have fun in many different ways. Sometimes helping others gives them a great deal of personal satisfaction. Contesting is another way by which hams can compete against each other.
What is that?
For example, a contest might be
Talking about number of people contacted?
the number of people contacted over a 24 or 48 hour period.
Like
for example.
birding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a form of contesting. There are also awards for achievements. For example, an easy one to start out with is contacting another ham in all 50 states. So that is called the Worked All States Award. Another one is
And what do you get? Do
you get a certificate.
Certificate?
And bragging rights.
Suitable for framing.
Yeah.
It's a certificate suitable for framing, but at least you get bragging rights too, and
Yeah.
it's a nice form of achievement. But
It
once you've
almost-
made that,
It almost sounds like merit badges.
yeah, kind of like
Something
All right,
like
so
that.
that would be, if I wanted to get my first ham radio merit badge, that 50-state thing would be a good one to start with?
Certainly it would.
That'd be nice. There's what, Rich? There's like 344 recognized countries in the world.
I didn't even know
that
there
are
were
in-
300 countries in
Well,
the world.
but these are recognized entities, radio entities. So there's definitely more countries than that, but these are radio entities that have licensing authorities, and they would have the equivalent of ham radio operators in these various countries. So once you've contacted 100, you're considered in the Century Club.
Sweet.
And then as you go up, Rich, you're in the Century Club, aren't you? Yeah,
I'm
he is.
at the 150 countries level.
Well, that's like emeritus level. Do you remember your first country? Do you remember your 100th country?
Well, actually, going way back when I first started, I got something very unusual. It was called the WAN Award.
okay.
Worked all neighbors.
Worked all neighbors?
All neighbors, yeah. Because
That was-
you probably remember there was a time when the local ham radio operator got into your TV set, and right about the time when you were watching your favorite TV show.
Gilligan's Island.
Yes.
Yeah. So that didn't drive people crazy, or what happened? Did technology get better? You
It got
guys
better.
get
It got a
definitely
lot
got
better.
Okay.
And when
got some-
TV went all digital, a
Yeah.
lot of the problems went away. Nowadays, everybody has either cable or streaming,
Yeah.
and the issue is a non-issue now.
Yeah.
when is field day?
Field day is this Saturday and Sunday, namely the June 22nd and 23rd. 24 hours, continuous round the clock.
What do you say for 24 hours? I talk 3 hours and I have no idea what's going on. What do you
Well-
say for 24?
A contact, when you make a contact, what
Let's
constitutes...
pretend we're making a contact.
Okay,
I'm going to be the caller, and Tony is going to be the other station
here we go.
trying to make a contact.
all right.
So I'll start out, and
I'm digging this. Go ahead.
I'll hit the transmit button. I'll
Can
say,
I be Sarah? Patch it through. You need me to just stay the crap out of the way, don't you? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So what I would start out by saying, CQ, CQ, CQ Field Day. This is Whiskey 3, Sierra, Golf, Juliet. That's our call sign.
Are those assigned?
Right, and
Yes.
Sierra
Okay.
Golf, that's the ICAO alphabet. Every letter of the alphabet has a specific word that's associated with it, so that's what Rich is
Okay.
using.
So it's W3SGJ. Whiskey 3, Sierra, Golf, Juliet, calling CQ Field Day and standing by.
Then I would come and say, Whiskey 3 Sierra Golf Juliet, this is K3 AHP, and go ahead.
And I would come back and say, Whiskey 3 Alpha Hotel Papa, is that correct?
It's Kilo 3 Alpha Hotel Papa, correction, yes.
Thank you. Kilo 3 Alpha Hotel Papa, this is Whiskey 3 Sierra Golf Juliet. We are 3 Alpha in Western Pennsylvania. QSL?
And I would say QSL 3 Alpha Western Pennsylvania. You are also 3 Alpha Western Pennsylvania. And good luck in the contest, 73, and we'll see you around the patch.
Do you guys ever walk through the mall talking like that to freak people out?
Heavens no.
You know, I used to think this would impress girls, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. It really doesn't, Eddie. I don't know. I've tried and it just doesn't do anything, so.
I do want to ask you a serious question. I can get into infrastructure and I can get into communications and Big Brother and conspiracy theories and yesterday and today, weather. How more important is ham radio now than maybe it was? We're moving forward with a lot of technology, but I don't see the glitches in ham radio that I see.
Our technology, unfortunately, comes with a lot of baggage. I mean,
How so?
well, for instance, the World Wide Web, the cyberspace. I mean, what is it? It's the
You're being live streamed on our video right now.
right, and it's what we used to call the phone company, or enlargements on the theory of the phone company, where you have a large entity that takes your information, funnels it through appropriate channels, through infrastructure, and then takes it to the destination wherever it needs to go, which is great. I mean, we can't live without it. But the problem is what if it goes down? What if the power
Right.
fails? What
Right.
if the mice eat into the power cables, and then that's the end of it? And that's where the beauty of ham radio comes along, because ham radio is an independent source of communication. That from my house, from my yard, I can set up an antenna all by myself, power it with a battery, and talk to a guy in Perth, Australia, like he's sitting across from me at the table like we are right now.
How does it differentiate, or how is it different than in the 70s when everybody had a CB and a lot of people had home units, CB with stand mics and all that?
Right.
What can ham do that, thinking back, CB couldn't do? Is it range?
CB is very limited in power. I mean, if you're going to operate legally on CB, you're limited to 4 watts. Imagine a 4-watt light bulb, okay? Not very bright. With ham radio,
You smiled when you looked at me and said that. I noticed.
nothing personal,
No,
but it says
it's
not
fine.
very bright.
Yeah.
But ham radio, you can operate 1,500 watts of power, which is considerably more power that will get your signal out more consistently. And there's a trade-off that with CB, there's very little training involved. It was basically register, and the FCC would send you a license. Now they don't even do that. With ham radio, you have to qualify. You have to have a certain class of license. There's 3 classes that you can have, and you have to qualify for those classes by taking a written exam. In the past, you used to have to show proficiency in Morse code, no longer required.
Okay.
So now you can get a license. Basically, you can get a ham radio license, one of the 3 classes, with answered 2 to 3 dozen questions correctly at a time, and you can get a ham radio license.
What are the questions? What do they need to know that I know before they're going to let me loose with that technology?
Part of it is a knowledge of basic ham radio regulations, where you can operate with that class of license, how much power you can use.
When you say where you can operate, you're talking about the physical location of the unit?
No, that's a good question. Unlike CB, which is only in one band on
Right.
the dial.
Citizens band.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ham radio operators have at least 15 bands of frequencies, from very low frequency up to the gigahertz range, and beyond that, unlimited use of frequencies above there, in not just voice, but also all kinds of digital modes. Morse code is still allowed. Television, picture broadcasting, bouncing signals off the moon, off of satellites that are circling the globe. There's a lot of much newer technology present and available. In addition, you can build your own equipment if you wish, and operate it without FCC approval, because you understand the theory and the regulations involved with that. We
So
have
if
what
I
we
can
call-
build one that proves that I know enough about it to not be tested on it?
Yes.
Okay.
And with the 3 classes of license that we have, they're called the technician class, which is the easiest to obtain. And you're very limited in the frequencies that you can operate, because you're in a learning mode, so to speak. It's a continual learning mode kind of hobby. It's based on a technology that is slowly changing over time. If I look back at 10 years, what I used to operate with 10 years ago or 20 years ago, it's changed completely. There, new technology emerges. We become a part of it because it's out there, it's new. It's like a car. You buy a car, not because the old one is really so bad, but because perhaps you like the look, the appearance, the style, the performance of it, the new capabilities, the electronics built into it, the cameras that allow you to park easier. These are the kinds of technology advances that also happen within ham radio.
What technology has advanced that you guys have had to learn, because you've been involved in ham radio more than a little bit?
Some of us go all the way back to the age of vacuum tubes.
6L6 and things like that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
And solid state came into being, but also the architecture of how the different stages of a radio are connected together, and newer ways of connecting to simplify yet enhance the quality of the signal that we send.
Rich, were you one of the guys that said, yeah, this solid state, it'll never work, it's vacuum tubes the whole way? Because there's still people walking around believing that. Or did you embrace the new technology? That would have been a huge step when you're talking about a receiver and a sending unit to go from, how come it's not getting warm in the back? How come it's not lighting up in the back?
Well, the beauty of the hobby is that you can choose whichever direction you care to venture, whether it be just getting on every week to talk to your family down in Florida or Arizona or Tennessee, wherever it may be, or to getting involved locally with other hams of similar directions to help with preparing for emergency communications when perhaps something happens at the nuclear power plant. There's regular drills for that, for which hams participate. We recently had one, I believe about 2-3 weeks ago, and members of our club, along with other clubs, participated in going to individual fire stations all around Beaver County.
Doing a dry run.
Yes, in a certain scenario.
Yeah. Sounds a little bit like broadcast media's EAS test, but you guys are just doing this to be doing this.
Right, and excuse me.
That's all right.
Any set of procedures will work if you've practiced them.
True.
And there's a whole range too, Eddie. I mean, you can, like you were saying, vacuum tubes. There's certainly still room for vacuum tubes. They do a really good job. They've done a good job for a long, long time, and so there's a place for that. On the other hand, the technology has gone so far that, for instance, Rich has a super radio at his station.
What is a super radio?
Well, it's
2 inches taller and has a cape.
Multiple computer screens and a computer to end all computers that runs it. That's fantastic, and in fact, we have a little rivalry going because I tend to go back to like the vacuum tube stuff.
Good.
And so because you turn knobs with a vacuum tube, I would be referred to as a knobber.
That's not why.
A knobber. And a person who has a computer, what would you call a person with a computer, Rich? I don't know. What is there a name for it, the equivalent to knobber?
I keep thinking of the guy walking down the street with a blonde on one side and a red head on the other, and everybody's admiring and oohing and awing. That comes to mind.
Is that kind of like what you're saying? Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Perhaps.
We are the champions in the background in Morse code, of course.
Of course.
And like Morse code is a really good example too, because Morse code is all on or all off all the time. That transmitter gives out full power when you're talking. Now, when you're talking on this radio station, you're wiggling needles, Eddie, aren't you? Aren't you
Sure.
wiggling needles? I mean, depending on how loud you talk, the needle goes up further or less.
On a good day, sure.
More power or less power. Well, with code, it's always maximum power. So there's an advantage
Pedal to the
that.
metal.
All right, here's what's up. More with Tony and Rich after this. More blondes on the arm, more wiggling the needles,
Wiggly needles.
more vacuum tubes, and that deep warmth of a nice mid-range.
Beaver County Boom is happening June the 29th, and Beaver County Radio is the place to listen for all the coverage. Falcone's Moon Township Ford will present a live broadcast on Beaver County Radio from the VIP headquarters at Mario's 410 Grill from 6 until the choreographed fireworks and music get underway at 9:45. Take your radio along to listen or download our free apps on your mobile device, as Beaver County Radio is your exclusive place to hear the soundtrack to the fireworks. The Falcone's Moon Township Ford Beaver County Boom broadcast sponsors include Friendly Federal Credit Union, Tri-County McDonald's, the Hopewell Shopping Center, Electric Garage Door Sales, the Community College of Beaver County Radio, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. The 2024 Beaver County Boom broadcast is being presented by Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Character becomes a part of everything we do. It's who we are. And McGee Heating and Air Conditioning's good character has been at the forefront of the service they've offered for generations. Just like the character of those we honor this Memorial Day, McGee knows how important these qualities are. Dedication, honesty, and talent are a part of everything they do. Call McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, family owned and operated. And remember those we honor this Memorial Day from everyone at McGee's Main Street, Aliquippa.
The place for news, sports, and entertainment. You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
Start your day with breakfast at McDonald's. Enjoy their 2 for $5 sausage egg McMuffin. Whether you're on your way to work or on your way to school, McDonald's has the right breakfast for you. McDonald's breakfast. I'm loving it.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Good morning, Beaver County. We are looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. It looks like mainly after 3 o'clock p.m. that we are going to see that. We do have a heat advisory until 4 o'clock p.m. and a high of 96. We'll get more of a look at the weather after we're done with news. Tens of thousands of people were without power after storms hit western Pennsylvania amid a possible heat wave on Monday. Severe weather rolled through the area on Monday evening as many people saw severe thunderstorm warnings in their cities. Duquesne Light said more than 22,000 customers in western Pennsylvania are without power as of 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Hampton, Hopewell, Bellevue, Shadyside, Penn Hills, and Monroeville all have more than 3,000 customers without power. 38 municipalities across the area have more than 1,000 customers without power. First Energy, which includes West Penn Power, said more than 11,000 customers in the western Pennsylvania area are without power as of midnight Tuesday morning. Allegheny, Beaver, Butler, and Westmoreland counties have more than 1,000 customers without power, including more than 3,000 from Allegheny and Butler counties. It's not clear when the power will be restored to customers. In a news released on Monday night, Duquesne Light did say they are working to assess the damages and establish an estimated time of restoration for all customers. It said crews are focused on critical and emergent needs first. The Cornerstone of Beaver County, a nonprofit organization dedicated to preventing and ending homelessness in Beaver County, will once again serve as a cooling center throughout the summer for those experiencing homelessness or housing-related crisis. Extreme heat can be dangerous, especially for those experiencing homelessness, utility shutoffs, or malfunctions or other housing crises. These situations can put people and families at risk for illness related to heat exposure, such as heat exhaustion and heat stroke, and can exacerbate pre-existing conditions like lung and heart disease and mental illness. The TCBC's Cooling Center Services at its Beaver Falls office provides relief from the heat with water, basic needs, housing assistance, and additional resources. The TCBC's cooling centers are at the following locations: the Cornerstone of Beaver County on 6th Street in Beaver Falls, the New Brighton Municipal Building on 3rd Avenue in New Brighton, and the Uncommon Grounds on Franklin Avenue, Aliquippa. The Aliquippa police were called around 3 a.m. last Friday about a burglary at the Food Mart on Sheffield Road. It's reported that 2 white males were seen on camera wearing ski masks casing the business. They eventually broke into the building by throwing objects through the glass door. The men then left with stolen merchandise, only to return to the store wearing different clothing. They prowled the building again before walking off. All of their actions were caught on surveillance camera. Anybody with information can call the Aliquippa Police at 724-775-0880. Credit Beaver County radio correspondent Sandy Giordano on this story.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We're looking at scattered showers throughout the day and thunderstorms mainly after 3 o'clock p.m. For the most part, it's going to be partly sunny and hot with a heat advisory until 4 p.m. with a high of 96 degrees. We're going to see isolated showers and possible thunderstorms right around 9 o'clock p.m. with a low around 73. That is the temperature today and the news. My name is Ryan Garazunas for the 99.3 FM, 1230 AM WBVP, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
I'm learning about ham radio. The event is Saturday. Rich, where and when Saturday? What's it called? It's Ham Field Day.
That's
right?
That's correct.
All right. And for people, and I know a little bit about it because you've told me in the past, but what is it and who are you hoping to attract to the event?
We will be at the
Rich is leaning over to Tony.
we're going to be the park above Baden.
Right. Economy? Was
Old
that?
Economy.
Old Economy Park.
Shelter number 1.
Yeah.
Go down to the swimming pool, make a left to the end, and it loops there. And that's where we'll be setting up 3 separate stations with 3 separate sets of antennas. And,
okay, stupid question. If you're going to have 3 antennas that close, that doesn't jack up the signal? That doesn't interfere?
Oh, yes, it does.
It does?
It wants to interfere, and that's where some of the technology comes into play.
Okay.
We put special filters on each one that only allow the signals from that one to go out and to come back in. That way we minimize the interaction between the 3 stations. It is really a challenge to do that.
So you're isolating 3 different signals in 3 different directions,
And
in and out?
Yes, and on top of that, we're running on emergency power. We're pretending
Well,
that
when the world ends, that's a good idea.
that's exactly what we're simulating is the ability to operate when the rubber meets the road and the road has gone away and you need a way to get from here to there.
If you don't have to, streamline's not the right word. You're talking about a signal and making it extremely directional because of the potential interference from the other signals. How much does that narrow the scope of communication on down the line?
Not only do we narrow it in terms of where it is on the dial, but we also narrow it down with directional antennas. One of our antennas is what is called a Yagi antenna.
Yagi?
Yagi, yeah.
It's a Japanese scientist many years ago came up with this design, and basically it's 3 rods. Horizontal rods on attached to a boom, they call it. The boom is about 35 feet long.
And the horizontal rods are connected with some sort of base rod.
Right.
I'm picturing a flattened up pitchfork sticking out.
Think of a boom with 3 elements on it that straddle each side equally on each side of that boom. The whole thing can rotate.
So you're targeting like the old CB home antennas or TV antennas where you turn the knob and watch and point.
Only we are using what they call the Armstrong method. We have 2 ropes.
Steroids?
No, use your arm to turn the antenna.
Oh, old school.
Old
Okay.
school.
Like 455 AC, windows down at 55.
This is like focusing a flashlight. I mean, if you can think of, the flashlight where you can adjust how the beam focuses, whether it's wide or narrow, that's exactly what this Yagi antenna does. It focuses the energy and gives you an apparent increase in power that you might be putting out 100 watts of power But because of the Yagi antenna that's able to focus that energy, it might increase by how many factors, Rich? What would
It
you
could
say?
be the equivalent of 600 to 700 watts in the given direction.
Just because you went from, let's say, a floodlight to a spotlight.
Exactly
Exactly.
right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And so with that, we're able to focus on which part of the country is propagation is enabling us to talk to. Just like at nighttime on AM, suddenly you can hear New York City stations, Chicago stations,
Yep.
Atlanta. Only now we're able to help out a little bit by aiming towards those particular, the Southwest, the Southeast, etc.
Dallas, WBBM, the
Yes.
exact same thing because of it's AM, so the signal's bouncing a little bit.
Yep.
What is the security situation? If I want to super specifically send a signal and I want to send it to Tony and nobody else, can I defend that signal as it's being sent?
The ability
Or protect
to
the integrity of it?
there's two aspects to that. On the highest level, the FCC does not allow us to send signals that are not readily understandable. On
So
the
no
deeper-
secret messages.
no hidden messages like
So
spy and counter spy.
You can't do coded stuff?
Only if it's a standard piece of software on both sides that the FCC also knows about and allows to happen can we send messages that can actually dig out signals that are so weak and so faint that we can reliably pull them out of the noise level with this space-age technology.
How are you pulling it out? Are you pulling it out in digital bytes, or are you pulling it out with, let's say, the spectrum of an EQ?
It's simplified. It is digital bytes, as you indicated, that are repeated many times with what they call special verification parts to it that say, yes, I got all the dots and all the dashes together. It should add up to this number. If it doesn't, then you go to the next one. And it's transmitted in this one way about 5 or 6 times within 15 seconds, the same message. So the reliability of this to dig out very, very weak signals reliably without any error is very close to 100%.
Yeah.
Which are more interesting, the weak signals that you got to work to dig out, or the loud signals that just show up as soon as you turn the box on?
It depends on what you like. If you like to just talk to people, any signal is good. If you're trying to contact that 100th country that you want to, then it doesn't matter. If you make the contact, it's a winner.
In terms of people in the club and people that do this, how much of it is for communication and how much of it is for geeking out? And I say that term with love, geeking out on the technology.
I would say probably 60 to 70% of it. This is just really ballpark.
Okay.
Are people that enjoy doing pretty much the same thing on a regular basis.
But there's something for everybody, though.
Yes.
That's the thing, that if you're prone to geekdom,
I am.
then
I am.
there's more than enough to keep you busy all day long. On the other hand, if you're looking for simplicity, you can do you could build a one-tube radio set and talk to people hundreds of miles away.
Like those old crystal sets?
Well, pretty much just a little bit beyond the crystal set, perhaps, but not that far beyond it. That it's possible to make communications with very little effort.
What do you need? I'm going to go. I started to say I'll go to Radio Shack. They don't exist anymore, but
Right.
I want to build. And how many people build stuff versus go online and buy a home unit? Are those available?
Here's the problem. The problem is that our technology, just like a computer, it's hard to imagine trying to build a personal computer.
It's going to be
or
behind
a
in
laptop computer because of the range of technology that's there, the surface mount electronics, the chips, and all that. So the place where where the door is still open to open experimentation is with antennas. You
Really?
can go out and play with antennas all day long because all it takes is a hunk of wire. You go to the this is a recommendation. You go to the ham radio department at Home Depot.
I didn't know they had
a
one.
ham
No.
radio department.
No.
You go to the ham radio department at Home Depot and get as much wire as you want, and you can make antennas all day
And nobody in a vest says, "Hey, what are you doing with that wire?"
And then you go
Nobody's-
over to the section where there's rope
Sure.
and another place where there's insulators.
Yeah.
You can be creative. The aspect of the hobby allows entrepreneurs, we'll call them,
All right.
people, and we talked about this last week at our radio club. Somebody is selling for $49 a computer that's only about the size of a pack of cigarettes
All right.
that has the software already installed on it to connect up to your internet, your wireless in the house, and to be able to broadcast or display in high definition the clock time here and wherever else you want to do. It has a global map. It can track satellites for you. It can tell you what's on right now on a particular band of frequencies that we use for $49.
You can see your day and night lines all over the world, so you can see where the sun is rising, the sun is setting.
It's a dashboard.
Yes.
Oh, it's
It is
incredible.
it is an unbelievable dashboard with 5 separate sections on top, each of which you have a choice of anywhere from 2 to 10 different choices. And then the bottom half is all global map, of which you can display incredible amounts of information.
How is it transmitting the audio? Or maybe this dashboard cigarette thing, it's got nothing to do with the actual sending and receiving of the audio. It's just giving you the information.
It is
Data
pulling
stream.
data off of the internet from
Yep.
about 30 or 40 different sources
Okay.
and updating it about once every 15 to 30 seconds.
How much money?
$49
No, for me, I'm sorry. For me to get into this.
into the hobby.
Yeah.
The license fee to take the exam.
The government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call it another fee rather than a tax.
Sure.
It is for less than $50 you can get your first license. $15 pays for the exam that you have to take, which we can administer the exam, but we do not profit from it.
What's on the exam?
35 questions on the first test. You have to get 26 or more correct.
Are they
to
multiple
pass.
choice?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I got a shot.
But,
I mean, what's it asking me?
There's two conditions. You can only have one answer for each question, and
Oh, you can't just write.
So you can't
You
equivocate.
can't write true on everything.
right.
Okay.
And
Cuts down a little bit.
I forget what the other one was, but in essence, 26 out of 35 questions, it's a pass or fail. If you got all 35 right, the same outcome happens as if you got 26.
If you fail it, how can you?
You can retake
You
it
have
for
to wait a
another
month or
$15.
something. Okay.
But if you pass it, you can take the next one the same night, free.
No, I'm going to go out and drink and celebrate passing the first one.
Now
I'll
you
come
come
back
back
to
next
that.
month. You pay 15 for that one. But your first license is going to cost you from the FCC what, 30, 35,
Yeah, 35.
$35.
Yeah,
And that's a 10-year license, so that's $3.50 a year.
That's
In,
nothing.
in the past, you had to go to a government office in a big city somewhere to take this test.
Just
now,
like the old FCC license.
Now,
That's exactly
you
what
can,
it was.
You can go see Rich, and you can see me because we're volunteer examiners, and we do testing every month prior to our regular club meeting. So on any given month, you can go and take the test, pay the fee, and the other thing is you'll know your results immediately because we score the exam right after you take it, so you know it's pass or fail. And then after that, Rich does some magic with the paperwork so that within, about 2 or 3 days, the information has gone to the FCC in Washington and come back with your new call sign.
All electronic.
And it's all electronic. It's all done like that. So
One other interesting side note is when the COVID thing was happening,
Yeah.
there was such a buildup of people who wanted to upgrade. We had to figure out
Upgrade their gear, upgrade their license.
their
their
license,
license.
Okay.
or obtain a license. We found a place in North Sewickley Township at one of the school properties that was not being used. And we set up in the parking lot, nice big parking lot there. Each car occupied every other space. And we had 12 or 13 cars set up. We all had our face masks on.
Sure.
I had them show me their driver's license from inside. And if it looked okay, then I handed them the packet of the form that they had to fill out, the answer sheet, and the particular exam that they had agreed to take. When they were all done, they put it back in the envelope, tooted their horn, or like the old
drive-in.
Blink your lights.
blink your lights,
Yeah.
I'm done with my tray. And we graded them all, and all but one passed the exam. One fella drove all the way from the other side of Cleveland just to take that exam.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we were
Wow.
one of the only clubs that was still giving exams during the COVID crisis. So
And that was really, and forgive me for using the word, there was a lot of paranoia about what was being put out in the news on all sides.
right, exactly.
That was
That's
an
another whole story that we
Yeah.
don't have enough time for that.
Well, wait, you'll come back, won't
That's
you?
another show, right?
Yes.
But you're talking about this as an absolute organic thing. And I've been doing radio a long time. That's not a word that comes up very often. It's really not.
But
One
of the
sorry.
hobbies, one of the aspects of the hobby is that you get to be creative, and you have a venue by which you can express that creativity.
Did it grow even after COVID? Obviously, it grew during COVID for a
It
thousand
has been
reasons.
steadily growing for at least the last 10 years.
Really?
There's over 770,000 hams, licensed hams with current licenses in the United States right now.
Are these the people that I see the weird license plate?
Yeah.
The WX
we got 'em out in
1220.
your we got 'em out in your parking lot right now.
There's two of them out there right now.
Do they charge you extra for that?
One time.
One
One
time,
time,
okay.
yeah.
All right. What should I have asked you that I didn't? This flu. I can sit and geek out all day with this stuff because the idea of a voice going into a piece of machinery and ending up almost instantaneously on the other side of the planet. It's one of the few good things we've done.
It's a magical thing. There's nothing short of that does to describe it. That, like you say, you talk into this tube, and that tube takes that your voice and transmits across thousands of miles, bounces it off the ionosphere, on the way toward outer space, and bounces it back to the Earth so that people can hear it. And I think my sister-in-law said it best when she said, you've got a radio that's the size of a bar of soap.
Yep.
And you hook it up to a piece of wire out in the field, and you talk to Brazil.
I think
That's pretty cool. I mean, that will always be cool.
I would also offer that the aspect about ham radio, whether you're in it for 1 year or 50 years, you have at least 24 different directions you can go in the hobby. Not just one, but maybe several. If you get tired of it and want to do something different, you have many, many more areas to explore and find value and fun and personal satisfaction with any of those other directions as well.
One more time, Tony, tell everybody about the event this weekend. It's Saturday. Where, when, what time?
Okay, so it's at the Economy, I keep getting this.
Old Economy.
Old Economy Park, okay, up on the Ridge Road, and shelter number 1.
Look for the blue water tower and turn left.
Yeah, and
Right, depending on your direction.
Depending on your
It's a
direction.
Coming up from Ambridge, it's left.
June 22nd, which is Saturday, to June 23rd, which is Sunday, starting at 2 p.m., ending at 2 p.m. the next day.
That's
24-hour period. We're going to try to talk to as many people as we possibly can, and then we're also going to have a nice picnic along the way and just have a good time. That's what we're going to do, and we invite everybody to come to see this and see ham radio in action.
How many did you talk to last time you did this?
We had 600 contacts
Oh, my.
approximately.
So you're trying to beat 600.
What we're trying to do is they break the U.S. and Canada into sections.
As they should.
Eastern
As they should.
Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania.
Okay.
California has a ton. But what we try to do is work every section, and there's about 88 total, counting Alaska and Hawaii and Virgin Islands. And we've not achieved that yet in the last 12 or 14 years, but we keep trying.
Every year we come short of, what is it, Eastern Washington? Is that it? I'm tempted to drive to Eastern Washington so that I could make a contact for us. Because
sometimes Western Texas gives us fits.
I've been to Western Texas. Leave it alone. You ain't going to get nothing good from that. Gentlemen, you'll come back and we can talk more about this, please.
Okay,
Yes.
You bet.
All
You're
right,
welcome.
the
Thank
event-
you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Field day is this Saturday, Old Economy Park, next to the pool. You know where it is.
Beaver County Transit Authority.